Sleep disorders, including nightmares, night terrors, sleepwalking, sleep talking, can be a big problem for kids. And when there's problems for kids, we have the answer person. Dr. J.J. Levenstein is here with us. And Michelle has joined us. Kim has joined us. I imagine, Michelle, you were raising all your kids and some of the issues they had issues sleeping as well.
Absolutely. You can't have 28 kids and not have a sleep disorder somewhere. So, yeah, we're very well versed.
So is it common? I mean, not just because of, the 28, but
40% of children will have sleep disorders of some sort, and they sort of parcel out depending on what phase of sleep. But it is a very common problem, and I certainly endured it myself too. With my son having night terrors.
Is it one night it becomes a disorder, or is this over a period of months, weeks, days? How long?
It can evolve at any point. I mean, most of the sleep disorders are more prevalent in youth only because the brain is more immature, and when your brain is more immature, it's more likely just to react to daytime stresses and things like changes in routine and even medication. So we see these much more commonly in kids, but before they're verbal, before they can really tell you what's going on, it's often a real guessing game, and we misinterpret what they're doing many times. So we saw so many people in the office setting who brought their kids in saying, oh my God, they spent the whole night in pain, and the kid was perfectly healthy. And when we started to really get the sleep history and figure out what was going on, we found out that these kids had sleep disorders.
Well, let's start with nightmares, because could that be part of what you were just talking about? They were
different types?
Yeah, there are three different ones we're going to discuss today. But first, what I want to do is just break sleep down into really simple terms, because this will help us then understand these disorders and what we do about them. So sleep is divided into two distinct stages: REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. And think about if your eyes are moving, it's kind of light sleep. So this is light sleep. And then the non-REM sleep, which is deep sleep. And when babies are born, they spend about 80% of their little lives in REM sleep, light sleep, because they've got to wake up every hour or so. Right. So in evolution, that makes a whole lot of sense. In REM sleep, we also collect our creativity and kind of stow it in all the different compartments of our brain. So it's really necessary for us as creative people, and people who are deprived of REM sleep actually suffer from depression. Now, non-REM sleep, or deep sleep, is very important. It's about 80% of the night once you get to be a little bit more mature. It's necessary for taking our memories of the day and stowing them and collecting and organizing them in our brain. It's when growth hormone is made, so deep sleep is very important for children and adolescents who are growing, and it's really key. It's a really key factor of our sleep, and it's very deep sleep. It's hard to come out of non-REM sleep.
Okay, so let's get back to the nightmares. What do you do if your child has one? Do you wake the child up? Do you let the child just continue to thrash around and cry?
No, not at all.
Scared?
So nightmares occur in REM sleep, so they're in the lighter phases of sleep. Okay. And REM sleep lengthens as the night goes on. So we start with tidbits of it at the beginning of the night, and then we get big blocks of it towards the morning. So most nightmares for parents occur close to waking up in the morning. Okay. And so when a child wakes from a nightmare, or we wake them up, and we can if they're particularly disturbed in the bed and really thrashing and seeming uncomfortable, they will wake right away because they're in a light phase of sleep. They'll totally recall what's going on. Their eyes will be closed during the nightmare, but they'll be open when we wake them up, and they'll be comforted by us. And if they're pre-verbal, they'll go right back to sleep just by us wrapping our arms around them. But if they're older, they'll be able to very vividly discuss what they just encountered.
Now, the sleep disorder, when most children, not most children, but a lot of children will get up in the middle of the night and sleepwalk. Why do they tell you not to disturb a child if they're sleepwalking, and how can you tell if they are?
Okay, so sleepwalking and night terrors are kind of related to each other. They're first cousins because they both occur in the deep phases of sleep, in that non-REM sleep. So non-REM is more prevalent at the beginning of the night, and so most sleepwalking and most night terrors occur in that first half of the night. Now, what distinguishes the two of them is that in sleepwalking, it's not an agitated activity. Kids will wake up, they'll have their eyes will be open, they'll have a blank stare, though, as if they're just looking right through you. And they will go in the kitchen and fix a meal. They will walk to a window and open it up. They may sit at their desk and fiddle with pencils, or they may just do things that are called automatisms, where they'll smack their lips or they'll bang their head. But they're like in outer space. They're like on anesthesia with their eyes open.
Why do they tell you not to disturb them?
Because it's very difficult to take a child out of that deep arousal. If you do, it's difficult, number one, and number two, they're going to be totally confused and really upset.
But it's not dangerous. You're not doing anything to their health.
No, and they don't have, and the interesting thing is they have no recall of what happened the next morning. Right. Now, in contrast, night terrors, they're still in that deep sleep, but they are characterized by a kid who's agitated and hyper aroused and really frantic and looks as though they're really suffering. And when my son used to have night terrors, it would look like he was going down in a plane. He'd be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And of course, then I would get panicked and I would start crying and I would try to wake him up and I couldn't wake him up. And it was like I was fueling the fire by trying to bring him out of sleep. So as we, started to learn more and more about night terrors, what we find out is with that, if a kid is in the middle of a terror, what you want to do is not arouse them. You want to keep the light levels low. You want to surround them with your arms or a blanket, and you just want to kind of shush them back to a state of relaxation, then tuck them back into bed. But back to your question about what you do with sleepwalking. We're going to do the same thing with sleepwalking as we do with night terrors because they're both in the same phase of sleep. First of all, we got to kind of clean up our kids' day. If they're full of media before they go to bed and they're listening or looking at violent or active images, we got to clean up their brains and like reduce some of those neurotransmitters by giving them like calm reading, board games, just things that are kind of boring.
Yeah.
If they're young and they're still napping, we got to make sure that those naps are intact because a sleep-deprived child is much more likely to sleepwalk or have night terrors. If they're on medications, even things that you might consider benign like supplements or allergy medications, check with their doctors to see if those are going to interfere with sleep. And so we want to sort of clean the slate there and make their sleep environment safe. So if they're sleepwalkers, we want to lock doors, we want to lock windows, we don't want sharp objects out on countertops because it's very unpredictable what a child will do. And in children who have night terrors, we just want to make sure that their immediate environment with sleep and in their bedroom is really safe because they may thrash about. Now, the treatment for both of these is really similar, and it involves something called programmed wakenings. And that means that as parents, what you do is kind of take note for 3 or 4 nights about what time the children wake up to either sleepwalk or have night terrors. And take a little record of that. And you'll be surprised to find out that it'll be within 30 minutes of each other.
Oh.
You wake your child up gently about a half hour before you think the events are going to happen. And if you do this for a period of 7 to 10 nights, believe it or not, it cuts the cycles, it re-times their sleep cycles, and often you're able to just cure that cycle. But you've also got to clean up their day and simplify their life, and with night terrors especially, kind of reduce excitement.
All right, if you would like more information, you can go to Dr. JJ at www.mdmoms.com. Dr. JJ, thank you.
Good.
Information.
Hopefully everybody has a good night's sleep.